The Minecraft 1.20.4 update, otherwise known as the Garden Awakens, has been released. This is probably our biggest drop Mojang has made since they started to adopt this new drop system. I mean, not like I had much competition, Bundles of Bravery added one item. While this is certainly smaller than a full update, there definitely is a pretty solid amount of stuff here like a new biome, mob, wood type, and so on. So today, I thought it'd be fun to rank every feature in this drop from the worst to the best. Now obviously this will be a lot shorter than my update feature rankings, but I do think there's just enough here to make a ranking video feasible. If you've seen my previous rankings on either the Trails and Tales or Tricky Trials updates, then the same rules will apply here for this ranking. All of these items will be judged based on how much I like them for Java survival. That means changes that were added that do not pertain to survival will not be included in this video. I'll also be grouping similar features together in order to make the ranking a bit easier. Sorry to all of you who wanted to see how specifically the pale oak hanging sign stacked up against the chiseled block of resin. You'll just have to settle for all the pale oak versus all the resin blocks. Don't worry though, I'll make sure it's clear what items belong in which categories. And also, just for a bit of extra fun, I'm throwing the bundle into this ranking. Whoa! I never made a video talking about the Bundles of Bravery update, so I thought I might as well put them here as a bit of a bonus. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. Alright, just like the updates, we're going to start with the changes that realistically no one cares about. There were no bad additions in this update, so we're just going to get the boring stuff out of the way. 9 Suspicious Stew changes. The duration the potion effects last for certain Suspicious Stew variants have been changed to match with Bedrock Edition. Okay. Yeah, I highly doubt this would be exciting for anyone, but I guess it's kind of nice to bring Java and Bedrock closer together. I mean, I would have liked to get something cool like potion cauldrons, but whatever. I guess for those of you that care, this is the new duration for each of the Suspicious Stew potion effects. Fire resistance 3 seconds, blindness 11 seconds, weakness 7 seconds, regeneration 7 seconds, jump boost 5 seconds, wither 7 seconds, and poison 11 seconds. Yeah, not exactly the most groundbreaking change, but hey, it made it into the top 10 changes of this drop. 8 block breaking changes. Okay, here's our final tiny change I felt like including before we get into the actual new additions. This change is a bit of a 2-in-1. First off, there are a few blocks that if broken with the wrong tool, would give you nothing in return. However, with the Garden Awakens, you can thankfully still get these blocks even without their designated tool. I mean, thank God, what was I gonna do if I couldn't mine polished blackstone pressure plates with an axe? As for a list of blocks that this change affects, we have bells, lanterns, soul lanterns, all of the copper doors, which I'll not be naming individually, there's a million of them, iron doors, heavy-weighted pressure plates, light-weighted pressure plates, polished blackstone pressure plates, stone pressure plates, and brewing stands. Now, I'll be totally honest, I already thought most of these could be broken with anything, but I guess it's good that that's an actual feature now. Again, it's not really a change that most people are going to get super excited about, but I think it's at least better than the Suspicious Stew changes. On top of those blocks though, the ender chest was also changed to always drop 8 obsidian no matter what it's mined with, unless it has silk touch of course. Compared to those other blocks, this one is pretty surprising, but still nothing groundbreaking. I mean, who's going to have an ender chest and no pickaxe? So yeah, these are all good changes, just not something I'll ever think about again once I finish this sentence. 7 pale moss blocks. Okay, we are finally at stuff people care about. Of our block categories, this is one of our smallest, being made up of only 3 different items, being the pale moss block, pale moss carpet, and hanging pale moss. Essentially, these just act as gray versions of the normal moss block, which I do think will end up being fairly useful in builds and such. However, I do think I have to place this group below the other new blocks because we do already have a lot of gray blocks in Minecraft. That's not to say these won't be useful though, because getting new shades is always nice. Plus, the more grassy texture on each of these still makes them more unique among the other gray blocks. Honestly, of this group, I think the actual pale moss block itself will be the least useful. The pale moss carpet in comparison obviously has a lot less competition, and it also has the unique attribute of having moss grow up the wall next to it. We've never really seen a block do something like this before, and I think it's pretty neat. I can't wait to see how people mix this unique overlay texture into future builds. Of this group though, I definitely think the hanging moss is the winner. Now I'll admit I'm not very good at using the hanging blocks in my builds, but I have certainly seen amazing things done with them. There haven't been any gray hanging blocks before this, so I think the hanging pale moss here will turn out to be incredibly useful for building in a spooky or abandoned stuff. Whoa, wait, did you guys see that? Personally, I think I will probably not use these too much, but I am very excited to see what the community comes up with. 6 eye blossoms. Here we have the main new plant that can be found within the pale gardens. I mean, excluding the trees, shut up. This is a brand new flower with the very unique property of opening and closing. What state they are depends on the time of day. During the morning, they'll be closed, but at night, they'll... I really like the look of these flowers, and I can certainly foresee myself using them in the future, especially the closed ones since we don't really have a flower in this dark gray color. The open one also looks really cool at night because it actually looks like it glows. It doesn't actually give off any light, but it looks really nice aesthetically. Interestingly, you can pick up both variants if you want to, which is helpful for a number of different things. For example, in the nether and end dimensions, the flowers will stay in the state that they were placed in since there isn't a daylight cycle, which you would know if you've tried sleeping. The open and closed variants also give different dyes when put into a crafting table, with the closed giving gray and the open giving orange. Additionally, they also give different effects when crafted into Suspicious Stew. Wow, we really can't get enough of this today, huh? The closed eye blossom will give nausea, and the open will give blindness. But that's pretty much the main reasons you'll want to use these guys. If you want these, you can get them from either the Pale Garden or Wandering Traders. The reason I'm putting these above the moss blocks is because I feel like they're a bit more unique, but I can certainly understand some preferring the hanging moss. 5. The creaking. And here we have the face of the update, which may be placing a bit lower than some of you would expect. Get it? Man, I am so funny. In this spot, I'm also including the creaking heart block just because I think they're a package deal. If you've never seen the creaking, well, you're already dead because you're supposed to look at it, idiot. But essentially, this guy is completely invincible. Try attacking it with your sword and it'll take no damage. Luckily though, the creaking doesn't seem to move, at least until you look away. I think that is a great gimmick for a mob. Certainly other pieces of media have done it before, but it's completely unique to Minecraft, which I appreciate. The only thing is, it's not really that much of a challenge. While he is invincible, all you need to do to kill it is break the creaking heart. To find the heart, you just need to hit the guy and a trail of particles will lead right to it. On top of that though, you could just not enter the Pale Garden at night. See, the creaking heart only activates during the nighttime, plus all creaking will despawn the instant it turns day. So really, as long as you don't mine at night, this guy won't be an issue. It's also kinda sad because there's no way to keep a creaking alive past the nighttime, even if you name tag it. I've seen people create some pretty neat redstone contraptions to detect where people are looking with them, but sadly they can only work at nighttime. However, I do at least appreciate them giving us the ability to move the creaking heart using either Silk Touch or crafting it. Not only is that useful to troll people with, gonna have to update this now, but it's also useful because it lets you get infinite access to the creaking's drops. 4. Resin. And here are those said drops. Now resin doesn't just fall on the floor like any item. Instead, to get it, you have to hit the creaking and then it'll scatter resin clumps all over nearby pale logs. I think this is a pretty cool mechanic and it's already created some very unique farm designs. You can also get resin in woodland mansions, but who cares? Access to resin is what brought the creaking above what we saw so far, but what can we do with the resin itself? Well, first off, the clumps are very interesting. They can be placed on pretty much every block in the game, similar to something like glow lichen. This adds a really unique orange speckle to the texture, and I'm super interested to see how people utilize this in detailing builds. Despite how small this is, I actually think this might end up being one of the most useful blocks that come from the resin. Speaking of, resin is similar to an ore like quartz, where it's mostly used for decoration. All of the resin blocks have this really unique bright orange color scheme. Now personally, I don't foresee myself using this block too much just because I feel like it's a bit too bright for my general palette. Still though, having the choice is great, and I'm happy for the builders who will get a lot of use out of these. Currently, there are 6 resin blocks, ignoring the resin clumps that we saw before. The first is the blocker resin, which is made from 9 resin clumps. And then there are also 5 different resin brick blocks. When I saw these, I instantly thought of Whomp's Fortress from Mario 64. My brain rot is too powerful. To get these, you first have to smelt a resin clump to get a resin brick. This family grows bigger every day. Then you can use 4 of these to craft a resin brick block and then stone cut it from there. The textures on all of these again look pretty good. I especially appreciate how they put the creaking's head on the chisel block. That was pretty cute. On top of the solid block selection, resin bricks can also be used as armor trim colors. It's basically a much brighter version of copper, which I think makes it look a lot better. So overall, I think this is a pretty satisfactory drop for our main new mob. 3 bundles. I bet some of you forgot I was going to be talking about these today, which is really sad this video is not that long. The bundles were announced for the game several years ago, and it took them actual ages to figure out how they would work. These were added to help with inventory management, which has been a major struggle as they add more and more blocks and items. These guys allow you to carry up to 64 items inside, which allows you to open up several spots in your inventory, as most people don't carry full stacks of literally every item. This is especially helpful in structures like Trail Ruins, as you get so many different pottery shards and armor trims that don't stack, but now you can carry pretty much all of them in just one inventory spot. Now it does take a bit of time to get used to how the bundles actually work, but once you do, it's a super useful tool. The bundles are luckily fairly simple to obtain too, just requiring leather and string, making it super accessible even early game. On top of all this, Mojang has also let us dye the bundle. A lot of people were upset that we could only do the 16 normal dye colors instead of the leather armor combo system, but to be honest, I think 16 colors is plenty. So overall, I have no complaints about how this was added. Should have been in the game way earlier, but happy they figured it out eventually. 2. Pale Oak. This is of course the main reason 99% of the player base will even interact with the Pale Garden. New wood types are always great to see, and this is simply put one of the best wood types in the game. A white wood color has been something we've been asking for ages, so to see them finally add this in is super exciting. This also personally fits right into my build palette, so out of all the new blocks this update, this is what I'm most excited for. Even outside just the basic planks, getting all the other wood stuff in white is fantastic. I've been wanting a white wall or fence that wasn't dire right for such a long time. I also have to mention that the trapdoor looks phenomenal in this wood. I talked a lot more about Pale Oak in my wood ranking a couple weeks ago, but in short, I just think this stuff looks great for builds. The sapling and leaves too are also just fantastic looking. I especially appreciate finally getting some gray leaves that we can freely place. They also get unique particle effects to show leaves falling, which I just think adds so much to a spooky atmosphere. But for the best new feature, well, it's kind of a cop-out. 1. The Pale Garden. Yeah, it kind of had to be number 1 considering literally everything revolves around it. This is one of the most interesting overworld biomes they have ever added. Minecraft usually sticks to pretty normal stuff for the overworld, so to get this spooky roof forest spin-off is really cool. Now personally, I do wish it looked a bit more distinct from the dark oak forest, but I think I can live with this. I also think they could make the biome a bit bigger since I often find them in really small clumps. But actually in the biome itself, there's plenty of unique plant life with the moss and eye blossoms, plus the pale oak trees do a phenomenal job adding to the atmosphere with their particle effects. Since the trees are so big and packed together, it can also make the creaking harder to spot, which I think was a great design choice, even if I still don't like that the creaking is night exclusive. One of my favorite parts about the new biome though has to be how the sky changes when you enter it. The sky transforms from the normal blue to this really cool looking pale white. Yeah, I think they mostly nailed the aesthetic of this biome, and it also led to probably my favorite piece of Minecraft promotional art in a while. This thing goes really hard. So for being the centerpiece of the entire update, the pale garden gets to take first place as my favorite feature in the Garden Awakens. Hold it! I'm actually gonna have to give this last place for one simple reason. Where on earth is the white pumpkin from Minecraft story mode? Perfect opportunity to add it and it would have fit right in. This drop is actually a 0 out of 10. Do better, Mojang. But anyways, that's it for this video. Did you feed your pet bee an eye blossom and hate me for not mentioning they're poisonous to them? Let me know in the comments. Overall, I think I'm pretty pleased with this drop, though I do have a question I want to ask you guys for the future of these rankings. Honestly, these are some of my favorite Minecraft videos to put together, but with Mojang's new drop approach, it's kind of hard to rank everything when there's as little as one new feature. So my question for you all is, in the future, would you all like me to just make one video at the end of the year ranking every new feature added to the game? Basically something like ranking every new Minecraft feature of 2025. When big updates do come, I'll of course still make rankings for them like I did with 1.20 and 1.21, but I'm talking about for years we don't get major updates. Or do you think this video works fine and I could just rank them as the drops come out, assuming they have enough features? Just let me know which approach you guys think you'll prefer in the comments. But anyways, before we go, I've got to make sure to thank my members, being Miss Jade's a Lot, I'm Not Denny BG, Bort Loco, Gnarled, Yanni the Duck, Andres Valerio, SMA, B Major 2003, Mazeo2, Arson the Raboot, Sir Musty, Kid Trunks 15, Belandor, Puggles Are Fun, Trader Mo, The Fog, Zinder CC, Jade Avery, Pruncel Clone, Thicky Reiki, SJ100, Ingenio TM, CW McCain, Tibby, JubeTube Z, Tesseract Nuclear, Mr. McMahon 5702, Sebi, Hippopotamus, Thick Rib, Jameson Pageson, Wilbur, Golden Sand / 15, Frost, Stuffy Ant, Just Dex, Conconut, Keep, and Christian Flattery Sequel Edition. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.